Good day, ladies and gentlemen. The leftist Catholic media is trying to cancel Taylor Marshall, calling him a sedevacantist, conspiracy theorist, etc. Even for leftist journalism, the article we're going to go through from the National Catholic Distorter, also known as the National Catholic Reporter, is actually pretty bad. In fact, it's hilariously bad, and it makes Taylor look really, really good. If you're unaware, Taylor Marshall decided that he was going to run for the President of the United States. There have been mixed reviews to this, which is to be expected, but I'm in Canada. I can't even vote for the man, but I would if I could, depending on, whatever political party or trajectory he takes in there, the primaries and all that. I know there's a big uphill battle, but nonetheless, I think we should support Taylor because he's made it very clear that his platform will be Christ the King. Would you rather keep supporting the log cabin Republicans and tweet how upset you are that Donald Trump is hugging another rainbow flag? If you'd like to continue with the status quo, that's up to you. But it's high time that a traditionalist Catholic, enters into the political arena and puts up where others will simply just not shut up, if that makes sense. Now, given that the left is attempting to cancel Taylor, which we're going to read the article about him in just a second here, I do want to let you know about the Cancel Priest Coalition Conference happening this year, and I will be a speaker at this, and it's just over a month away. If you're free on June 23rd and 24th, come join me and the Coalition for Canceled Priests in Rosemont, Illinois for a conference unlike any other. Hear from myself and other awesome Catholics like Abby Johnson, Father Altman, Dr. Kwasniewski, John Henry Weston, and more. Connect with fellow Catholics, learn from great minds, and enjoy a little getaway from the craziness of the world. You have plenty of ticket options, and they are great prices. Just go to www.canceledpriests.com. .org. That's www.canceledpriests.org. In fact, if you do type in .com, it does bring you there as well. You can find the links for that in the description. So, if you aren't aware, Taylor Marshall has announced his candidacy for the President of the United States. He's running. And I did a video about this, 4 days ago or something, whenever the announcement was made. And I made it very clear. I said, listen, Taylor's got an uphill battle. Is he going to get past the first stage, second stage, etc.? Are we going to see a large vote share from the national populace go to Taylor Marshall? What's going to happen? Only God knows. And it's a very difficult endeavor to run for the president, even if you are part of an established political party. You could be a completely Soros-backed billionaire running for the president, but it's still not a guarantee that you're going to win. But I said in my video that I support Taylor in this decision, as I think we all should, because ultimately, it's not enough for us to just complain on Twitter about the log cabin Republicans and the state of the Republican Party, the Democrats, and so on and so forth, this game of political badminton back and forth between the elephant and the donkey. Someone has to actually try. Someone has to actually enter. Someone has to be willing to be completely ridiculed and face all the pressure so that other Catholic men will rise up and actually try and do something to restore the rights of Christ the King. Now, I know Taylor's not the only Catholic who has run in politics. There are others. For example, Pat Buchanan was a very famous one, and what a different world it would have been if he have been elected president and got through the primaries. And there are others in municipal and state politics, and those are all extremely important. And all Catholics should be finding a way within their local community to try to make things better for God and country, so to speak. And there are lots of different ways to do this. But there is an expression that the fish rots from the head. We know, for example, that in the church, the laity can be strong, the bishops' conferences can be strong, but if the Pope is a tyrant, well, we've got a problem on our hands. It's not a perfect analogy. I know it's different in the United States, but not only do we need Catholics running on local levels, school boards, things like that, which is really important, it's also very important to put the rights of Christ the King at the forefront of the national conversation, because ultimately there will be no salvation or no restoration of American culture if there is not the presence of God and Christ the King in politics. It's not enough to just support these Protestant-ish politicians who, sure, they give deference to Jesus Christ when they make a speech. They say some witty things about the woke leftist narrative, but when it comes to actual policies that would put into law the rights of Christ the King, they're pretty weak. And that's something that people are continually seeing. Isn't it tiring? Every 4 years, you go to the ballot box and it seems like you're in the midst of a massive cultural revolution and you're thinking, if I don't cast my vote, or if not enough people vote for this person, we're going to basically be facing the apocalypse. That's exhausting. It's tiresome and it can't last. It's untenable. It's something that just causes people to have fatigue and to be tired and sick and tired of the political conversation. Personally, most of the time I hate politics because it seems like it's all completely meaningless. None of this is to say that Taylor Marshall is going to win the presidency. None of this is to say that he's even going to get any far. Who knows? God knows. But at some point, Catholic men need to do something about it. I made reference in my last video about this topic to Gabriel Garcia Moreno, who was born of a Spanish noble family in Ecuador, and he became president of the nation after a Masonic revolution. And, you think it's bad that Donald Trump was canceled from Twitter. Well, the Masons literally hacked him to bits with a machete and finished him off with a firearm. So it was with, I think, three revolvers, I think, were shot at him. So he was willing to put on the line his life and his livelihood for the rights of Christ the King. And we have to be willing to do this. We like to talk about martyrs. We like to talk about the Cristeros and the heroes of the Vendée, etc. Well, at a certain point, it's got to be more than just talk, because talk is cheap. So bravo, Taylor. And we should all support him in this endeavor. So I'm going to bring up the article here. This is from the National Catholic Distorter. Maybe you've heard of it. It is a very leftist Catholic publication. And also, as I'm realizing in this, extremely sloppy. I mean, I figured it wasn't going to be a bastion for critical thinking, considering it is a leftist Catholic publication, which is sort of an oxymoron of a term. There's no such thing as a leftist Catholic, technically speaking. But nonetheless, the actual journalism is really, really bad. One of the links that it links to doesn't even explain its point, and we're going to go through that. But before we do that, I want to thank our sponsor, which is the TKR store. My beard is looking a little unruly today. The weather has been changing, etc., the humidity and so forth. So I think that I'm going to have to go into the cupboard and get out my TKR beard products, which are available in the TKR store. Go to thekennedyreport.com and visit the TKR store to see our new products. Kennedy's Choice Beard Oil. You can use this on your beard to help with alleviating itchiness, dryness, and irritation of skin. And don't worry, no animals were used in testing this product except for myself. Use Kennedy's Choice Beard Balm for a softer, healthier, manageable beard that is made with natural ingredients. And trust me, I know a thing or two about beards. Visit thekennedyreport.com and check out the TKR store. The links for this are in the description. In addition to these products, people asked for the frankincense oil and the lanolin balm, which are in the store and selling out fast, so get them while supplies last. We never know if we're going to get another shipment of that frankincense oil from Oman in the Middle East. It's very hard to get. Again, the links for that are in the description to this video. So let's get to the article. Here is the article from the National Catholic Distorter. And I'll make this a little bit bigger so everyone can see. And it says, Taylor Marshall for Prez in 2024, the Catholic candidate whose time has come. You can tell from the beginning it's a satirical or snarky take on this, and of course this author is not going to take this very seriously. He starts by saying, are you like many faithful Catholics feeling politically homeless? Are you turned off by the social libertarianism of the left and by the authoritarian nationalism of the right? Right away, there is no social libertarianism on the left. The left is tyrannical. They don't want you to simply have the right, as sort of a leftist libertarian would, to basically live any way you want, regardless of the consequences. They want you to have to be forced to live the way that other people want you to live on the left. So right away, this person doesn't understand what libertarianism is and what the left is. In addition, what is this about authoritarian nationalism? Really? Authoritarian nationalism? Anyway, they're just complete idiots. Continuing. Are you uninspired by Joe Biden and fearful of Donald Trump? No, I'm fearful of Joe Biden, and Donald Trump is a little bit uninspiring at times, but also does make me laugh. Are you thinking of a third-party candidate? Finally, there is an answer for this existential ennui. You got to love it when these pretentious authors throw in their foreign words or their obscure terms. There was a new face willing to throw his political hat into the ring, someone untainted by prior political involvement, someone whose views are not bound by the government orthodoxy or either of the two major parties. Now there is a third option, a different voice, a new voice. Here's where it gets interesting. Taylor Marshall, a podcast host, sedevacantist, and prominent conservative Catholic conspiracy theorist, has announced his candidacy for the presidency. Let's just break that down for a second here. Taylor Marshall, a prominent conservative Catholic conspiracy theorist, podcast host, and sedevacantist. Let's just check in to what they say about why Taylor Marshall is a sedevacantist. And we're going to find that I think the person who wrote this didn't even click the link. I think they just Googled Taylor Marshall sedevacantism and didn't actually watch what Taylor actually said. So let's just watch this together here real quick. I'm going to have to just share the screen differently here. So here's a video that Taylor put up, I don't know, a couple years ago, whenever it was. And it's just a clip from one of his things, and it says, "Is Taylor Marshall sedevacantist, as some have claimed?"
Do you think that Francis has ever said anything that's heretical materially? There's a difference between formal heresy and material heresy. Formal heresy is where you say, I know the church teaches this, I know Jesus Christ and the apostles teach this, but I teach not this. I formally reject the teachings of Jesus Christ and the apostles. That's formal heresy. Material heresy is where you're believing something heretical or wrong, but it's not your fault, you don't know it. So you're not held responsible for that. So in the poll, I'm asking you, I'm not judging the soul of Francis Jorge Bergoglio, either pre or post 2013. But I asked, do you think he's ever said anything materially heretical? And I'm going to share, I would answer yes. What does this mean for the church? I don't know. It scares me. Robert Bellarmine says when a pope is a manifest heretic, he falls ipso facto immediately from the papacy. In De Ecclesia elsewhere, he says he has to be warned 2 or 3 times. I don't think I'm qualified, but Holy Father Pope Francis, if you see this, as a humble layman, Canon 212, I really think you need to revisit, change, and repent of the errors that you just taught to the whole church. That's all I can do. And again, I might be, maybe I'm the one that's wrong. Maybe Pius XII is wrong. I don't know. This doesn't sound right to me. There's obvious suggestions. I already see them in the live chat. Well, people are saying Benedict XVI is still the Pope. Could be the case. People are saying Francis never was the Pope. Could be the case. He certainly seems to lack the charism of the Vicar of Christ. He doesn't like the title Vicar of Christ. People say in the comments, well, the election in 2013 was invalid. People say Benedict XVI was still the Pope. Some people say he was elected validly, but because of his heresy, because he never answered the dubia of Cardinal Burke and Braunmüller and others, he fell from the papacy and lost the charism of St. Peter's keys. I don't know.
So apparently Taylor Marshall at some point saying, it seems like Pope Francis has said some heretical things. What does that mean? Here's what theologians of the here's what theologians of the past have said. And there are a bunch of people who at the time, this is before Benedict's death, of course, thought that Benedict might have still been the Pope. Who knows? He literally says, what does this mean? I don't know. But for the illustrious journalists at the National Catholic Distorter, this is proof that Taylor Marshall is a sedevacantist. Now, call me crazy. If somebody says, are you such and such a thing? And you say, I don't know. I don't think it's proof that you're that thing. And of course, we know Taylor, this is just a clip from one of his many live streams talking about the things that are on the minds of traditional-minded Catholics. and they're not really sure what to do with this train wreck that has been the church for some time now, and it's difficult to deal with. So anyway, we'll continue with the article. They call him a Catholic conspiracy theorist. I would imagine that's probably looking to infiltration, which was highly sourced, by the way. But according to his website, his podcast has 425,000 subs, making him one of the most watched Catholic podcasters in America. Here, this journalist shows a lot of his class, and he says, the video in which he announces his candidacy is short and you won't need any popcorn. I suggest not drinking while watching the video. I will add as much as this article encourages you to drink. Spitting up Dr. Pepper onto your laptop will destroy your electronics. Marshall's platform is Christ the King, the Christ the King platform. While other GOP contenders debate at what stage in pregnancy to ban abortion, he gets to the root of the matter and advocates making contraception illegal. Okay. Are they trying to make Taylor look really good here? Because that seems pretty legit. I'm actually confused. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm not confused. Maybe I expect this of these people, but let's read that part again. So this person is trying to, I don't know, ridicule the idea that Marshall's platform is the Christ the King platform, while other GOP contenders debate at what stage in pregnancy to ban abortion. He gets to the root of the matter and advocates making contraception illegal. So I guess, according to this so-called journalist, we should be making fun of the fact that a Catholic running for office believes that the platform should be based on Jesus Christ, the Son of God, being the Lord of the world. Is that supposed to be bad? And is it bad to ban contraception, which is at the root of the issue, which the person admits leads to the evil of abortion? Is this an advertisement for Marshall? Because this guy's making Taylor look pretty good. Also, I'm pretty sure that this person is poking fun at the idea of Christ the King. And this would be a problem for this person because Christ's kingship is a Catholic position. In fact, you'll find in encyclicals, I can't find any right here. I was thinking of pulling them up. You'll find in encyclicals and letters and teachings from the past, the kingship of Christ is a teaching of the church. It's impossible to avoid that. It's just simply that. So apparently this person thinks it's worth poking fun at Marshall for wanting to ban things that are against Catholic moral teaching and cause much harm in society, and for wanting to make Christ the king of his political platform, which just shows you what this person believes about Catholicism. Continuing. We need a Christian culture in America, Marshall announces, a point on which I agree, but arguing we don't need strict separation of church and state. We need a bit more of an argument. It is not Catholic teaching that we need, that Marshall is correct here. The separation of church and state in the strict sense is not Catholic teaching. This person wants to argue that, well, this person wants to argue against Catholic teaching, which makes sense because they write for the National Catholic Distorter. There is a distinction between church and state. They're obviously separate things in a sense. But in the same way, you can't separate your religion from your politics. It's like, this idea you can be a Catholic on Sundays and a politician on Mondays. That's impossible because politics is essentially ethical questions applied to the civic arena. And your ethics are informed by your religion, and the only true religion is Catholicism. So the only true ethics are found in the faith, in their fullness. Of course, other beliefs and things like that, they obviously have the natural law and whatnot, and they can come to sound moral decisions just based on that. But the actual fullness of truth is found in Catholicism, which is the only true religion. He continues. Hundreds of 2022 GOP candidates for different offices seconded Donald Trump's claims that the 2020 election was stolen. Others equivocate. What happened on January 6th was not great. Does he deserve to be impeached? Absolutely not. I don't even think there's a basis for impeachment. This is classic. This is classic leftist journalism. They take something to suck you into the article, write about it very quickly, and then they use the rest. They use the center of the article, the part that you'll probably read to then push their belief that has really nothing to do with the actual topic at hand in the article. So now this guy's going into January 6th and all this kind of stuff. This is just a way for this person to tell you what he thinks about whatever the topic is, and then sort of to sidetrack and go to something that has nothing to do with it in order to sort of continually propagandize the reader. He says, only Marshall has the guts, the courage to do Trump one better. Not only was the 2020 election stolen by Biden, but the 1958 papal election may have stolen by Pope John the 23rd. Huh? Is this guy drunk? He cited an article. He cited a link to an article or a video where in the video, Taylor Marshall asks questions to the audience about whether or not Pope Francis in 2022 or whenever he made that video could have lost his papacy. Does not say anything about Pius XII. Does not embrace any of the sort of old school sedevacantist positions. Bandies about the idea that some have that Benedict was still Pope, etc. Never commits to any of these positions. Apparently the author never actually watched the video, and then moves on to say that Taylor Marshall goes one further than Republicans who doubt the validity of the election of 2020, in which many dead people voted for Joe Biden, by the way. And that is proof that Marshall not only thinks the election was stolen, but he also thinks the papacy was stolen. But that's not even what sedevacantists believe about the 1958 election. Like, this person doesn't know what sedevacantism is. The Sedes don't think that John the 23rd stole the election from Pius XII. Pius XII died, and then they believe, as far as I can tell, that John the 23rd was not a valid pope because of heresy. This person doesn't even know how to make fun of Sedes. He doesn't. Anyway, continuing. Actually, it's not clear what variety of sedevacantum Marshall espouses. He doesn't just. Anyway, some person writing at Where Peter Is, which this author believes is not a satirical website, which is interesting, reviewed Marshall's book Infiltration, the Plot to Destroy the Church from Within, and points out that what gives him leeway to shape and twist his material into any shape he wants is that he hovers between constructing a narrative with human conspirators and a narrative that is driven by satanic demonic forces. There was no need to prove that so-and-so was actually a Freemason, if in the end, Freemasonry, modernism, communism, the St. Gallen Mafia are all manifestations of the satanic plot. Are you reaching for your checkbook to send Marshall's campaign a check yet? Or are you a modernist and a Freemason? So I read Infiltration. I've also narrated the book Murder in the 33rd Degree by Don Carlos Moore, Father Charles Moore. And there's a lot of evidence that people were Freemasons. It's pretty strong, actually. And some of it's exactly correct. This is accepted by mainstream historians even, because we've found documents and so forth. And Marshall just cites those things in his book. And it is also true that Masons are satanic and the plot to destroy the church is satanic. But apparently, this fella thinks this fella thinks that Freemasonry, modernism, communism, and the St. Gallen Mafia are all manifestations of the same satanic plot. He's poking fun at that idea. Does he not believe that modernism, communism, the St. Gallen Mafia, etc., are all manifestations of the same satanic plot? Is he trying to do apologetics for those things? I'm not really sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. Marshall's platform may not have much to say about the debt ceiling, but he is very much opposed to receiving communion in the hand. Again, they're trying to make Marshall look really good here, apparently, because they're doing a really good job. He's opposed to Protestantism. Yes. Because it's false. And they say because it rejects the papacy. But he also opposes the papacy. See what they did there? Marshall speaks critically, as is the right, as Marshall pointed out in canon law of Canon 212, which he cited in the video the person apparently never watched, that lay people do have the right to criticize pastors if the need be, and that includes the Pope. And he says Marshall rejects Protestantism because Protestantism rejects the papacy. That's true. Protestantism rejects the papacy because Protestantism is false. It doesn't just reject the papacy, it rejects all of sacred tradition, essentially, or most of it. And the person conflates that to Marshall opposing the Pope, making him a Protestant. Ah, very, very sneaky, sir. We couldn't see that coming. He continues. Marshall is more convinced that King Charles is a global antichrist. No, Marshall recently had Charles Coulomb doing essentially apologetics for the monarchy, and Marshall does not believe that he is the Antichrist. He believes that the king could represent some sort of Antichrist figure, which is possible, because we know the Antichrist will be a leader. We say this about various politicians in the past, and a lot of the objectives that King Charles, and I am a Canadian I'm a subject of the king, but nonetheless, I do have some reservations about a lot of things he stands for, and they do seem kind of anti-Christy, if I'm being honest. So this is just some sort of speculation many people have. Turning to foreign affairs, Marshall's views are deeply influenced by disgraced former nuncio, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano. I'm sorry. When was Bishop Vigano disgraced? Has he been disgraced by the Pope? Was he excommunicated? Interdict? Whatever? This person doesn't like Vigano, so he's saying he's disgraced. And he goes on to say, Marshall also objects to Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, and cites a tweet in which Zelensky said Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was an inspiration to him. According to Marshall, Trudeau is an evil tyrant who is destroying the Canadian people. Yeah, that's exactly what Trudeau is. Trudeau, on the day for the March for Life here in Canada, tweeted out his unequivocal support for abortion access basically until 5 minutes after the child was born. Does this supposed Catholic author not think Trudeau is a tyrant? Well, look what Trudeau did to the truckers. And by the way, I'm sure this person was not with the truckers as I was as a journalist, as many of my friends were. Does he actually know what happened? No, this person has no idea what they're talking about. And apparently, it's bad that a Catholic podcaster, author, thinks that a massively pro-abort socialist in charge of my wonderful country is not a good guy. This tells you everything you need to know. There's a lot of talk about Our Lady of Fatima. Pity she would not be able to serve as a Secretary of State should Marshall win. What? Anyway, smart money is on Vigano emerging from retirement to return to the diplomatic hustlings of Marshall's behalf. Did this person just suggest that the Virgin Mary should run for political office? Is that what he said? That's insane. Wow, this person's nuts. Okay. Anyway, he goes on and on and on, on and on and on, on and on and on. And then he finishes by saying, Marshall and Strickland in 2024. I guess Strickland's going to run with him? Anyway, America needs them. No other candidates will reveal the fourth secret of Fatima, a leading campaign pledge. It is time to make America holy again. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war. You know what's the most fascinating thing about this article? Is that those thoughts actually exist inside a man's head all the time. That's the crazy thing. This was a very interesting look into the psychology of a leftist Catholic. They don't live in reality, and they don't believe in the teachings of the church, and they're not even really good at ridicule, because ridicule is supposed to be based on things that are actually true. Most of what he said there was false. Well, anyway, the left is already after Taylor, which means he's off to a good start. Make sure you say a prayer for the good doctor on your rosary beads, and pray for the author of this article that he actually decides to become Catholic rather than pretending to be at a pretend Catholic website. Again, visit the links in the description. And when this guy does, well, maybe he will, maybe he won't. If he does a article about me, we can go over that here on the air as well. Visit the links in the description for the products in the TKR store. Also, please feel free to check out my book, SSPX The Defense, which is available in the link in the description of this video. Amazon bestseller in the Catholic and Church History section. Thank you to everyone who supported me through this endeavor. Let's spread the truth about Archbishop Lefebvre and the Society of St. Pius X and defend Catholic tradition by doing so. And as Marshall's platform would suggest, Viva Cristo Rey. Until next time, this has been The Kennedy Report. God bless.
Go to thekennedyreport.com and visit the TKR store to see our new products, Kennedy's Choice Beard Oil. You can use this on your beard to help with alleviating itchiness, dryness, and irritation of skin. And don't worry, no animals were used in testing this product except for myself. Use Kennedy's Choice Beard Balm for a softer, healthier, manageable beard that is made with natural ingredients. And trust me, I know a thing or two about beards. Visit thekennedyreport.com and check out the TKR store